All right, so fix my spelling. The thing the try it out asked you to do here was to modify the script. So instead of just adding one random letter, it adds two random letters. And I claimed that that was relatively easy to do by just working with the block with the flag checked at the top. That you didn't have to modify the function that inserts a random letter. But let's look at the insert a random letter script to see how it behaves so we can figure out how to alter the rest of the script. So I'm going to screenshot this in my notes to scribble on it. And I'm not just doing this for your benefit. When I analyze a script, I got to take notes. I can't just read a script and know what it does. I got to write notes down to kind of figure shit out. All right, so this script here, what do we got? Let's use green. It's called insert, and we have a string str add into str in at position character position. Okay. And right away, so we'll figure out what those things are more in detail once we look inside. We have a string out that's set to nothing, right? So here we're initializing the output. Output. And since we have a string that we have to loop through, we need a counter to do that. So that's just a counter to get to each position, right? And remind you what this does if you don't remember from last class. This is going to take a word like college, and it's going to look at the length of college. It's going to randomly pick some position inside, and it's going to add some random letter there. And this random stuff happens outside. So just backing out of this for a second. So here they're selecting a random a letter from the alphabet above, and then they're picking a random number that's in the length of the word that we're starting with, which could be the word college. And then we're inserting that random character into the word at the given position. All right, so it's random character into the word at a given position, and we're generating the word, the character, and the position up front, and giving it to this program, this function, this procedure. So we're going to repeat for the whole length of the input string, which is going to be something like college. And in there, we're going to set a variable called ch, which in this case stands for character, to the letter in position. Position starts at 1 of the input string. So right here, we're starting off with letter 1 of college, and then it's going to loop to letter 2 and letter 3 and letter 4, and it's going to keep going all the way to the end. As it's doing that, if the position we're at happens to match the random position we were given up here, then it's going to throw in that new letter. Otherwise, it's just going to keep putting the letters back on the random string. So let's say, for example, that this was, say, 4th position, and the input string was college, and the random letter is Z, then what's going to happen is this right here is going to first, in the variable string out, the first thing it's going to do is going to set the letter C down here in the loop. And then it's going to add on the O. So 1, 2, it's going to put an L, 3. But once it gets to the 4th position, it's going to throw the Z in there in the 4th position. Right after it throws the Z in, it's going to go ahead and grab whatever was the 4th letter before and stick it on in the next spot. So what was in the 4th position is going to get up to the 5th. Now the counter didn't change when the Z was added, So it's going to continue adding letters until it gets to the end of the word. So that's what this does here. How does the rest of the script know what the new word is? How does the rest of the script get this? From the variable string out. So what we should see is that's used right after this script is run. So let's go look at the rest of the script. Blow this up a little bit. So right here, we insert the random character into the word at a particular position. And then inside the forever loop, it says ask, enter the correct spelling for string out. What is string out? String out is what this procedure here produced for us. That normal word with one extra letter thrown in there. Okay, so somebody make a guess at what we could do to this to add a second random letter.
That is a variable that likes random letter.
So do basically something like this right here again. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to stick it right underneath. Okay. Now let's think about if this might work here. I'm not going to run it. I'm just going to think about if this is going to work just as it is. So this set right here grabs a random letter from the alphabet and it feeds it to this first insert block right here. And then insert does its thing and it's done when it gets to here. Insert did its thing, it's done. Okay, so then we set rand character to a new random letter. That should be okay because we're done with the first random letter. And we're going to get a new random position. That should be okay because again, insert finished working because if it didn't finish, we wouldn't be here. Okay, so then we get to this right there. Is this really going to work? Let's see. We're going to insert a random character from here into inward. What's inward? Where did inward come from? Line 3, way up here. There's inward. Inward is grabbed from a list of words that it has to work with. So maybe inward is college. So then we're going to insert a random letter into the word college. Is that really what we want to do here? Answer is no. What am I missing? Carter? I don't want inward here because inward is college. That's what it was before. I want to take whatever insert the first insert did. Where can I find inserts work? Okay, but what does insert spit out for us to use? Let's go back to our notes. String out is what insert gives us as its word with the extra letter. And that is what I want to modify next.
Aha, it works. I just tested it.
Aiden tested it. So if we just did this with insert, what would happen is it would just replace what the first one did with a new random letter in a different spot, and we wouldn't know the other one happened. So what we really want to happen is not use inward there, but the result of what the first insert did, which is living right now in string out. So what that should do is it should take string out, which already has one extra letter, and throw an extra random letter in there somewhere. There are other ways to make this happen. This is one of them. If you have questions on that, let me know. I recommend giving it a try. See if it actually puts two random letters in a normal word.
So the code picks a random word
So the random word happens in this line right here. So it grabs inward from a list. And down here, there's a thing called word list,
Oh.
which has those words in it there.
So.
We'll look at list next chapter. So that's where the word comes from.
So in order to test it, you try and guess the word from that list. That it is.
So let me just put it back to the way it was for a sec. Nope, doesn't want to do that. Come on. No, it's being difficult, so we'll just pull that off. So this is the way it was a minute ago. And if I run this script, find the list. As soon as I click the flag, it looks in the list, grabs a word, and then sticks the random letter in, and then I'm supposed to guess, what word is that? And it's hoping I will look at that and say, oh, that's house. Take the A out. And our modification should put 2 random letters in there, making it slightly harder to guess.
I see.
All right. Other questions? Yeah, so when you're trying to figure out what a program does, run the program, look at the code, run the program, look at the code, go back and forth between the two. Yeah, and you could add other variables, and sometimes you really should add other variables. In this case, I'm overwriting existing variables, but I'm only doing it after they've been used. So again, my particular solution here works, but I'm overwriting existing variables, which can be dangerous. So if you had multiple loops that were running through words and you use the same position counter for each one, that could screw shit up. If one procedure uses the other to do stuff. I'll give an example of that in a minute. Okay, so hopefully that was enough to get that. And again,